I didn't think it'd be so white. That's okay, I can see 'em in the night when we're making sweet black and Jew love. Yeah.
So good evening, everyone. We are Epstein and Hassan, the Black and the Jew. And on January 9th of this year, we celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. Come on, some applause, some applause. 30 years of Black Jew love. Ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at two people who have a very, very successful marriage.
That's right.
Our marriage is an unbelievable success. It's also unbelievably ironic because we are not successful at anything else in our lives.
Nothing.
Every other area of our life, we are two of the world's biggest failures, two of the world's biggest losers. But our marriage, this race-mixing marriage, a marriage between a black and a white, a Jew and a black, this marriage, which everyone in the world thought would never work, especially our parents.
Oh,
Nobody
please.
thought that more than our parents.
Please.
We are sitting here 30 years later,
That's right.
spreading black and Jew
And
love.
he's still hot to me. Now I know for some of you, as Epstein was saying this, about mixing the races and him loving a black woman, you found it repulsive.
Yes, they did, Hassan.
Some of you might even been shocked by it. But I know that there's that little group of you that love it. Now we don't care whether you find it repulsive, whether it's shocking, or you love it. We're here to say that race mixing is here to stay, and we're here to support it.
More than support it. We are here to say that the only chance that this world has is if the races mix. We have to encourage people to do this. No more marrying yourself. You know, marrying someone who looks just like you, who was raised just like you. This has obviously not worked. As America 2016 is the most racist, hateful country in the history of the world. So how do we change this? We change this by encouraging people, Hassan, to engage in interracial love, interracial sex, interracial everything, Hassan.
Just
Interracial.
That's right.
Mixing
That's
the
right.
races.
That's right.
Mixing
Because
the
the
races.
thing is, usually we hate what we're scared of. And internally, Epstein and I have a heart, we have the same heart wish. We want to be loved and we want to be nurtured. And I know there are many of you out there that have been attracted to people that aren't your race or aren't your religion. But family or society has told you no. Well, you can look at the world and see the opinions of others don't always give us peace. So what we're saying is be brave and go for what you want. Mix racing.
Now,
That's
you know
we're
what?
about.
Even on a deeper level, Hassan, for so many years, for example, people need role models.
Yes.
They need people who they can follow. So in terms of interracial couples, there hasn't been enough strong role models.
No.
So you and I, we want this to be so deep for people. Like, for example, most people when they have sex, when they come, they thank Jesus, right? Most people go,
Absolutely.
thank you, Jesus.
That's right.
Nobody thanks Buddha, nobody thanks Krishna. Everybody thanks Jesus when they come, and they think of Jesus. But to support race mixing, we want people watching this the next time you come to think of this when you come. Yes, that'll help
That's
you.
right.
That will help you.
It will make your come strong
much
and
stronger.
from the heart.
Now, we are a specific type of race mixing because Hassan is a black woman and I'm a white man.
Yes,
And let's
I
face
am.
it, we have found out, and it's basically, I think, since Obama became president. You know, we had a dream, Hassan. We felt that we had moved into a post-racial America when President Obama won.
Oh, that things were going to change.
But actually, what's happened since Obama won is that the racism and the hatred of Obama has just unleashed unbelievable racism. Donald Trump is about to be nominated to be president of the United States.
Yes.
And we're here to say something about Trump, too, and we'll talk about him more. As much as he hates Muslims and Mexicans, it's really blacks that he hates.
He's that old school white.
Old school Brooklyn guy, because people
right.
don't realize something. I grew up in Brooklyn. Brooklyn in the 60s and the 70s wasn't that much different than Mississippi, Hassan. Brooklyn was hardcore racist. I had a black friend that played in the backyard. My parents actually got threatened that they don't want that N in their backyard anymore. So we're here to say.
Well, why did they say that? Because of the property value.
Right, they thought that black people brought down property
Yes,
value.
yes,
There's something
yes.
about the dancing or something that the property values were
Would go
going to go down.
Yes,
But we're here to say that I not only didn't take my parents' advice, I didn't mind when black people moved in. I moved in with a black person, and I've been having a wonderful marriage, 30 years of this, Hassan.
Now, let's be politically incorrect for a moment. He married a dark one, okay? He took the risk, and you know how America and most people feel about people with dark skin. They don't think we're attractive, they think we stink, we have tails. Well, first of all, I don't stink, I don't have a tail, and I am gorgeous.
And you know what? I could have took the easy route, Hassan.
Absolutely.
So many white guys do this. You bring home the light-skinned black woman, you know, and you convince your family, like, how black is she? She's got no black, like a little black,
Just
you know?
just a tad.
No, I wanted my parents to have a fucking heart attack, which they did when Hassan strolled
That's
through
right.
the door. That's what I wanted. I wanted it authentic. I
That's
didn't
right.
want there to be any doubt.
That's right.
This is a black person, and this is race mixing.
Guess who's coming to dinner and staying?
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to embark on race mixing with the black and the Jew. Are you ready, Hassan?
I'm ready.
We have two guests tonight that are they an interracial couple or an interfaith couple? What would you call them? What are you guys? Are you interracial, interfaith?
I think we're both.
You both. Now this is Karen, and this is Joff. And how long have you two been married? That's a very bad answer, Joff.
I know
You
it
should
is.
have that right at the tip of
It
your
is.
tongue.
It's been
Look at
5
it.
years.
She's looking
It's
at
been
you
5
like-
years.
How many years?
5 years.
5 years? Is that correct, Karen?
That is correct.
Now, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that you were raised as a white Christian woman. Is this correct?
I was raised in a Southern Baptist, Republican, conservative. My parents are Jesse Helms Republicans. So
Really?
that's
And where did you grow up? What state?
North Carolina.
So you're from North Carolina.
I am from a very small town in North Carolina.
So you're a white girl from North
I'm
Carolina.
as white as they get.
Did your family have slaves at any period of time? Like
Not
going
that
back
I
in
know
time?
of.
You were just like poor white trash.
Poor
basically.
white trash.
Poor white trash. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love poor white trash. And then you met this young man. This is Joff, and you are of Pakistani heritage,
Yeah.
but you were born in the United States.
Yeah.
But your parents are Muslim Pakistanis. Is this
Yeah.
correct? So did you grow up in the United States saying to yourself, I wanna meet a white girl that I can defile? Did that ever come into your mind at all? Was that like a fantasy of yours, a fetish?
Defile?
Defile? Yes.
I don't know what that exactly means, but I didn't have any contact with the Pakistani people. So if I thought of anybody dating-wise or anything, it was always white people. It was all because I was surrounded by just white people.
So, Hassan?
Well, do you identify with being white, black? How do you, when you have to fill out an application, what do you check?
I don't want to check anything because nothing says of what I am. Because you see, you'll see Hispanic, you'll see Asian. Technically I'm from Asia, but what they mean is, usually in China, Chinese descent or Japanese, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, do I check this or not? So I always check other.
So how would you identify yourself?
Right now, I don't think I do. If the two choices are black and white, I can't.
Mhm. Right.
Either
Do
way.
you feel that there's a lot of pressure in society today for you to have to identify?
Not from my experience. I think there probably is for other people, but not from my experience. But the interesting thing is when I was growing up, it's like I felt like an outsider.
Mhm.
Like I wanted to be white, but I wasn't
Why did you want to be white?
because everybody else was, and I wanted to be quote unquote normal.
And look at me, I mean, I'm as
Yeah.
normal as you could possibly
Right.
be.
Yeah,
Like, this
yeah.
is like, I'm as white as you can possibly be, and I'm as normal as
But I think that's,
I wanted my name to be changed.
I think
What
that's
did you want your name to
interesting.
be?
I was
Like
just having
Jeff or something like that?
Alan was the
Alan.
next name.
Alan.
So that's very, because we talk about that a lot, like amongst Asian people. If you notice that all Asian people name their daughters names like Ashley
Right.
or Karen.
Never Tanika.
Never Tanika or
Mhm.
Shawika
Right.
or any of those kind of names, because in our culture, everyone wants to be white. And that's you grew up in our culture, so and what's interesting is people claim that there is no more white supremacy, but as someone who is sort of on the outside, you can really speak to white supremacy. It's preferable to be white in this culture, right? I mean, you didn't want to grow up and say to yourself, I want to be black or I want to be Asian. You wanted to be white.
Now, he might have wanted some of the attributes of being black, maybe being able to play sports, all the things that, you know, I like about black people, but I don't want to be black. I want to have rhythm. I want to be able to have style, those kind of things. But when it comes down to really wanting to embody the life of a black person in America, you know, it's kind of like the kids now will have an athlete on their wall, but they don't want to be black. So
Well,
it's a mixed message.
I mean, most black young men are in jail,
Yes.
working as slaves for corporate America. You know,
Yes.
like we talk about that quite a bit, that we claim in America that slavery and Jim Crow is over, but what they've done is by privatizing the prison system, they take young black men, put them in jail, and make them work for 12 cents an hour. That sounds like slavery to me. And the whole privatizing prisons is the stupidest idea in the history of ideas. And although both Bill and Hillary Clinton right now are trying to get themselves out, it was created by Bill Clinton. That was a Bill Clinton policy, you know. So, did you grow up, Karen, thinking to yourself, I want to meet a Pakistani guy? Was that ever a fantasy of
You think
yours?
she thought that in
Because
sixth
I've
grade?
heard that Pakistani guys, and maybe you can help me with this, are very well hung. Is this a true story? Because I heard that amongst, like,
I haven't seen many others, so
So
I
we
haven't.
go only on
He's
yourself.
not gonna test.
And your dad, those are basically the two that you
Well,
probably
thankfully,
seen.
I've not seen his either.
You never seen this, really, in your whole life?
Well, I remember I pulled his shorts down as a joke once, and I got slapped by my mother with a wooden spoon.
Really?
I didn't get a peek at it though.
Wow, that's interesting. Have you ever seen you saw your father's penis, right? Or something?
Well, yeah, when he was sick, but by then it was a raisin.
Did you check? You humiliate the guy on his deathbed. Wow, so nice. Women are
Yeah, my
all-
dad was hung.
And
my
yours,
dad was
Karen, you have a white daddy.
Yes, I do.
Yes. How did your father feel when you told him you were marrying someone who was from Islamic tradition?
So let's back up just a second. When Joff told me that he was of Pakistani descent, I said to myself, I need to go home and look that up on the map. I don't even know if I know where Pakistan is. And then when I told my father, his on the phone, because he knows me, I dated a basketball player when I was a while back, and he said, he was mixed race basketball player. My dad goes, Pakistani, his voice goes up like that. And I was like, yeah, you got a problem with that? And he said, no, not at all, not at all. And took him home to meet my father, and I thought it was awkward for the first couple, minutes or whatever. We sat down to eat, and
Because we were sitting like I was here and her dad was where you
yeah.
were.
So he kept talking to him, but looking at me, and I would back up and say, that's him. You can make eye contact with him. And then eventually we went and sat down, and Job showed my dad that you could look up music on YouTube, and started looking up these old guitar players that my dad, country music, and my dad loved it. They connected over music immediately. So
That is, music is the universal
It
language.
is.
It is definitely a music.
Had your father ever met a Muslim before?
I do not think he had.
So what you did for her father was to eliminate a stereotype of what he thought a Muslim person was.
He was doing that for me as well.
Yeah.
Because, when we grew up, I grew up in New York City. I don't think there were any Muslims at all. I'm sure there were Muslims, but they were certainly not visible,
Right.
I've talked about them many times, Big Al, who's shooting this. In New York, when I grew up, you had Jews, Italians, blacks, and Puerto Ricans, more or less. There might have been a few other people in here, but there were no Pakistanis, and. So, let's get to how you guys met, because that's very interesting to me. You met on Match.com, is that correct?
We are guilty.
Now, did you request a Pakistani
Yeah,
guy?
what's the
How did
application
how does the
process?
application process
The
go?
application process.
Do you request a big penis? Do you request the big nipples?
Do you want to talk
How
about
do you do
this? You have actually a better memory of this than I do.
That's a setup. She wants to see if you're gonna lie.
How Match works is you can tell when somebody has looked at your profile. Even if they haven't, like, some people will give you a message, but some people just look at it and move on. not many people were looking at mine, but she was one of them. And I said, I think I typed back, I saw you looking at my profile, and then
Ooh,
whatever
that's
I said
scary.
afterwards. Yeah, yeah, I know.
That's kind of
The one's
scary.
scary.
Creepy.
But you know, I like the whole. She had a picture, and she looked very spiritual just from the picture alone. So that attracted me to it. And that
Wow,
just
so
made
you were
me
drawn to spiritual.
Yeah, when I saw her picture, I was.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But when you fill out the application, do they ask you, like, what do you like? What type of person? So do you choose like race or income?
It's income.
Because I understand that their application is very, very complex.
It's been a long time, Naimah. I don't really remember choosing anything regarding race because I know that I would have left that blank. And I don't think that income was
Income was on there.
It was on there.
Race
but-
was not on there. Income and smoking and drinking.
Yeah, I think that those things.
That was basically.
Okay.
And did you put down your true income?
Or did you just say you're an artist?
I did say I was an artist.
Okay.
He did
The
that.
income, I think I put down, I was a guitar teacher and tutor, so I just put down what I thought I was making.
Okay.
But you didn't try to like entice her, you know, like
You know,
saying,
there was a pressure because you look at other people's, it's like, you know, they're putting in the income, so I just put down my income, what it would have been after, you know, because I'm cash business. So I just put down what I make. Well, actually, you know what, they have intervals, like they say, do you make, you know, 30 to 50, do you make 50 to 80? So I just put myself down in like, in around the 100 range, you know? Because after taxes, somebody getting, who makes 100 would be down to where I would put my,
100,000?
yeah. No, if in other words, somebody's making 100, their net generally is around 60, right? So that's what I would put down.
Okay.
So based upon that, I said, yes, I make 100,000. I don't remember what the exact number was, but.
See, I would totally, if I was on this now, I'd be lying like crazy. I'd say that I'm a
You
comedian.
lied when you weren't on it.
But I wasn't, no, but I would say I make like $4 million a year, you know,
Yeah.
and that
Well,
kind of
there
stuff.
are some
Very,
dating
very
sites
good, big muscles.
that you have to be a millionaire to get on. They want certain types of people. What was the first date like? Like, how did you set up, okay, we're on this dating site, I'm looking at you, you're looking at me. Who decided to go on a date?
Well, Match.com, like that's part of our story, but it didn't last there. Like as soon as we traded phone numbers, we just started talking on the phone. I think we emailed a couple times by these fake email addresses that we made up for Match.com, and then we ended up talking on the phone several times, and we made a date pretty quickly. And I remember I was at work, and I got off work and I met him at 7 on 7th Avenue. So that's kind of a lucky thing, right? 7 on 7th, and we met there, and I was sitting in the bar, and he came in, and we had dinner, and I was like, this guy's good looking. And we, you know, he told me a little bit about himself, and I remember he didn't want to eat inorganic strawberries, so that was kind of
But
cute.
then I said, I'll do it for you.
Oh, good
Yes,
move.
exactly. So yeah, that was the way it started. So even though we met on Match, it's like sometimes we forget about that, and every once in a while I'll see
Well,
a
of course,
commercial.
you want to forget about
Right.
that. Nobody
Well,
wants to
then
admit
sometimes
that.
I'll see a commercial.
That's
I'm
why I
like, we
mentioned
should
it.
probably call Match.com and tell them, you know, hey, we lasted this long. We would
Well,
be like,
we may
hey.
do that after this interview. Send us to
Yes,
Match.com and
okay.
say, look, you hooked up with a Pakistani
Now,
and an American girl.
How did you plan
Race mixing.
your wedding? Like, that seems to be for a lot of couples that are mixing races or culture. How was it in terms of setting the ceremony up of your wedding? I noticed here you said you got married at a Korean tea house on Park Avenue.
Yeah. So we actually had a very small wedding in a beautiful restaurant on Park Avenue in New York. And the people who attended our wedding were our friends. Job's cousin came with his wife, but we didn't have any other family members there.
Was that because
My mom and dad are in North Carolina, and they couldn't travel, and then his mom and dad, they could travel, but it wasn't like a comfortable thing for them. So we said, we'll have this, and then we'll do another party later for the Pakistani family. So we had this really lovely ceremony, which our friend Bleem Kern, he officiated, and he did some Buddhist mantras and chants. And then we had 2 friends. One friend stood up, and he was actually a Jewish guy. He stood up and did a reading because his Pakistani cousin was late for the wedding.
Yeah, he was late. He was supposed to do the Islam reading, and my Jewish friend did the
And
Islam.
the
yeah.
Jewish guy read out of the
Yeah.
Quran.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
And his name was Israel.
Yes,
his name is Israel.
His name is Israel.
A Jewish guy named Israel read from the Quran.
You
Yeah.
see?
This is what race mixing is all about.
Absolutely.
Because that is actually the only hope for the world. That is the hope for the world. If enough Jewish people start reading from the Quran and named Israel, then there will be less problems.
But I've got the soap opera question now, because if you remember in the bio, he was married before.
Yes, that is true.
Now, was your other wife Muslim?
No.
No. Now you're a stepmom. Do you want to have children?
I did, but that's not gonna happen for us.
Okay. How is it for you being a stepmom?
It's great. I love our kids more than, like, I look at them. Last night we went out with the kids and to visit some family, cousins, and I just love them. I adore them. I look at Lucas and I was like, I asked him last night, I'm like, when I get old, you're gonna take care of me, right?
You said yes?
And he said, yeah, I'll take care of
He's
you.
lying right away.
No.
What do they call you?
They call me Karen. We've been
Call me
friends.
Job.
They call him Job, so it's not.
How does it feel for you that your children get along with your wife?
I like it. I want them to get along. And sometimes there's always friction, but there's friction between myself and there's friction everywhere. going on.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But it's very important for me to have the whole family.
Well, when I would imagine coming out of one marriage going into another, there's always with the first wife of, don't throw me to the side, like we have a history. So it's kind of like you're very fortunate to have someone like Karen because she's going to be aware of that. And because it could be a nightmare.
Can I ask you a question? Did you meet your first wife on Match.com?
Well, they didn't have much of the internet back then, but
And that marriage failed. This is my point. Your marriage, first marriage, you met
it
her
did fail.
normally.
No.
Was it
A
arranged?
news date.
A news day. All right, this explains it. Do not, for any reason, get married off of Newsday.
No way.
Look how happy they are off of Match.com. I'm trying to hook up a
Yeah,
Match.com.
this guy doesn't date though. He doesn't go on regular dates and meet. No,
This guy just,
he needs a service.
on-
I'm a
Right.
musician. I'm a musician, so I meet musicians through newspapers. It's not, you know.
Now, Karen, most women, unlike Naimah wanted to marry a comedian, a Jewish comedian. I mean, that alone is going unbelievably great karma, because how many women want to give it up to a Jewish comedian? Very
Not
few.
many.
But musicians are very popular. Women always want to have sex with musicians. Women always want to hang out with musicians. And you're a guitar player, is this correct? So my assumption is really good fingers. Have you noticed that he has special skills? I don't want to get too graphic. Is he very good with his fingers?
She's very happy. Look at that smile.
I have no complaints.
You have no complaints?
No
No, she does, because I play guitar and I have long fingernails.
Long fingernails?
Yeah.
So they're
Usually, don't guitar players cut their fingernails?
left hand.
Left hand.
Right hand is for picking,
Wow.
right, left hand.
Okay.
is for-
Okay.
is for the
And he's
side.
very good too.
And what kind of music do you play? Are you a rock musician?
I do a lot different things, but it always comes down to heavy metal.
Heavy
It always goes back to it, no matter what. I
A
can
Muslim
go,
heavy
This is
metal.
what I'm saying.
You
This
see,
is what's
I
so
love it.
great about America. A Muslim heavy, well, he's not a Muslim, right? You're not religious at all. Is that
No.
correct? You've given, but you're spiritual.
I do. One of her friends had a quote on it, which I always, one he used, he says, I'm a non-practicing atheist.
Non-practicing atheist. So you're a Muslim guitarist. Now,
Yeah.
I've heard Pakistani music, by the way. I love
Yeah.
Pakistani music.
Right.
Have you ever played that kind of music?
Well, at a wedding I did like a couple of years ago, I had a guitar that didn't sound like a sitar with my cousin. But when I grew up, it was the same thing. I just did not like it. I didn't appreciate it till later. Because at that point, I just did not. I just felt this was not normal.
Right.
I didn't appreciate it till later.
You
must
were a
be-
rebel in your family.
I was the black sheep. Yeah.
You were the black sheep.
Now, why do we call it a black sheep?
Yeah,
I
that's
know,
why
I
it's
just
Black
thought- as soon as I
Friday.
said it,
Why
like,
everything is right. I know that.
Yeah.
Black sheep. There's the black sheep right over there.
No, but
why
what's-
is it a black sheep? Why is it a?
But
why
all
is-
of us were that in our families. I was, you were, all of us sitting here. We were that one kid that paved our own road.
I do think you were the blackest sheep, though.
I was the
Because
blackest
Karen's
sheep.
a kind of white sheep.
Yeah.
I'm a very white sheep.
Yeah.
And you were in
Yeah, he's the brown sheep. Yeah.
Dirty blonde.
Dirty blonde sheep, yeah.
So, so let's get a little more political here, because
Yes.
as a couple, do you find that, have you met up with any people who have been, let's say, rude to you if they assume that he, because when you look at him, what would you think we have a sound man here. When you look at him, would you think that he's, what would you think his ethnic background is, just by looking?
It's interesting that you say it, because I have a friend of mine that's Puerto Rican, right? And you're his twin.
Oh, yeah?
And
Yeah,
he's-
I could see him being Puerto
Do you
Rican.
believe it?
Yeah.
He could be
look
Puerto Rican.
just like
Yeah,
my friend. He's
Yeah. Do people
exact
speak
same
Spanish
color.
to you? Have you ever had that?
No, most people, well, right now, I think I look more Pakistani than before. When I was younger, people thought I was either Greek or Italian.
Oh, okay.
Dark
I'm telling
Italian?
you,
Yes,
he's,
yes.
his twin. I'm looking at my friend, who
Really?
I've known for 40 years.
Well, since you look Puerto Rican, I would avoid Dominicans at all
Okay.
costs, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of battles. We gotta mix them together at
Yeah.
some point too.
We've got to find a
The
Dominican and a
race-
Puerto Rican.
The race mix.
yeah.
Now, Karen, I know you from the Buddhist world. You, at one time, were practicing as a Buddhist. Now, how are you still practicing as a Buddhist, or have you become more?
I will never deny the Buddha. He's always in my heart. I don't go to regular classes anymore, no, and my life is on Long Island with my husband, and it just hasn't worked out that I can get to a center on a regular basis.
Well, it's amazing, because you do not look like a Jewish housewife on Long Island. You
I
might
do
sort of
not.
That's what Jews
I'm actually
are.
a sore thumb on Long Island as it is.
Now,
People are
recently,
like, where are you from? What's that accent?
you've come on to a new career, is that correct?
have.
You are now a real estate saleswoman.
I am.
What is that like?
Interesting. It's one of these things that I wasn't sure if it was going to be something I wanted to do, and I got into it, and like I encountered like the people talk. You go through real estate school and they talk about equal housing, right? And I'm like, yes, I'm into this. You know, fair housing. Let's not discriminate against people. Every single person, well, not every single person. I think that's an exaggeration, but I come up against a lot of people who seem to be a little discriminatory, and I'm like, okay.
The buyers or the sellers?
The agents.
The agents? Okay.
Because this is the thing, like, this is what people, speaking of Donald Trump, his father was a very famous builder in Brooklyn and Queens when I grew up. And the word always was, if you rent or if you sold to black people, that the property values go down. That it wasn't really being racist, it was just that if you sold those houses. But they have had many exposés where real estate people won't show houses, they won't show to black people. Is this still correct?
That's the thing that you are warned against. So apparently, the governor has passed some sort of thing now where they are hiring people to go out as testers and see if they're treated the same as someone else. And if you are caught not showing a black family the same home in the same way or in an area as you have a previous white family, then you will get fined. It is a big deal.
Really?
Wow.
How about Muslims? Do you have people like not wanting to sell their house to a Muslim person, or buy a house from a Muslim person?
No
Has that
one's
come up?
been that blatant, you know, with me, probably because of my last name. I think I do kind of, when people see me and they read my name, I think they kind of cock their head a little bit and wonder, how did she end up with that last name?
Did you think about knowing that when you took that name that people would cock their head a little bit?
I did, but I love it. I love having Joff's last name. I think that it adds just another layer of
Cool.
interest and cool.
A rebel,
you know?
I love it. That's right,
I
that's right.
also like that she said cocks his
Yeah,
head.
yeah,
That's just
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm 12 years old.
I know.
Now, yes, the cocks his head thing, you know. I like that, and I know Big Al like that, you know. Speaking of Peter Griffin, because we wanted to know this, just quickly answer this. South Park or Family Guy? Family Guy?
Yeah.
Love both,
Yeah.
but family.
Family Guy. If you're on a desert island, only one show you can take. Family Guy, South Park, or Family Guy?
Simpsons.
No.
Oh,
Sorry, guys.
Simpsons. Oh.
First of all, let me say
Simpsons.
why I hate
Very
the Simpsons.
PC.
I'm going to tell you why I hate the Simpsons. I have a very valid reason.
Okay.
Because
I'm open to it.
Conan O'Brien's entire career was built on the fact that he was a writer on The Simpsons, right? Conan O'Brien has been on television for almost 30 years and has not improved. How can you do any job?
to continue doing what he's doing.
How can you do you agree with me, or do you think he's a funny guy? Because funny is always,
He's
you know.
not gonna answer, he wants to be the musical director.
He does want to be, I guess I don't want to be a guest on that show.
No, you don't wanna be a guest
No.
on that show.
You know, but Al, what do you think of Conan O'Brien? This is Big Al.
I thought Conan was funny on NBC, but then when he moved to TBS, he sucked.
He does suck on TBS.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to know. That's Big Al videotaping
But,
us.
okay, in terms of real estate, Karen, do you see yourself being more a career woman, a housewife? Like, how are you seeing yourself now that you have established yourself as a married woman, a stepmother? Are you able to blend all these things together?
It hasn't been successful. I had a very difficult year last year. My mom was sick, and I had to actually move to North Carolina for 3.5 months, which was in and of itself.
And you left him here?
I did. He came to visit one time, and it was last summer. He was there one time for a few days, and that was it. So we were separated for 3.5 months. And I thought I needed to go into therapy when I got home because of just everything that I went through. Being in my hometown, which when I was growing up, the KKK marched through my hometown. And it wasn't a big deal. That's what, happened.
It's not gonna be a big deal again because, they seem to be back in the good graces of certain people,
Right.
with KKK. Did
So-
you feel any prejudice in North Carolina?
I didn't, but I generally don't feel it anywhere. But people, like Karen was telling me, watch out, and other people may notice it. But I myself maybe just don't want to see it.
Let me ask you a question. People in your family, they do still practice Islam. Are they feeling in the United States, is there an overt prejudice towards Muslim people? I know when you go to the airport and stuff like that, if your name is a Muslim name, but in general, is there overt racism going towards Muslims in the United States?
I don't think they feel it, but I know just looking at Facebook, they write about it a lot.
So they
about
must,
certain-
they must. It's subtle. I think that's what's painful. You pick it up, it's subtle. It's like if I walk in the store and all of a sudden, 3 of the people are coming over, can I help you? But they're not doing it to anyone else. It's you can pick up when people do racist acts, when you are the group that's used to it. And I think that it's very subtle. Actually, as Epstein and I were walking here, it's my first experience. I don't know if you caught this. It was a Muslim young lady that was begging us for money. I have not ever seen that before. So it was.
Well, the begging thing now seems to be pretty much everybody's into it. I
But
saw a Hasidic guy begging the other day. He was begging for diamonds, but he still was begging, and it was very shocking when I noticed that. So back to. What's that?
That was funny.
So, of course, if you attack the Jews, everybody thinks it's
Yeah,
funny.
I
You notice
know.
that? Look out, right away, a Jew joke, everybody's laughing.
He didn't laugh when
Yeah.
I said my thing.
No, your show wasn't
No, when I
funny.
said a whole army comes behind me in the store when I'm buying milk. No.
Now, when you two, because we always ask people about this, it's a sexual related question. When you two are having sex now, you never had I'm just asking you this, Karen. You had sex with black guys, but he's not a black guy.
No, he's not. He's a brown man.
He's a brown man. Now, do you have like fantasies that are specifically tied into the fact that he's a brown guy? You've never said anything to him like, any kind of.
They might not talk.
Do you guys talk during sex?
Yeah.
You do. Have you ever told her you want to spank her white Christian ass?
No, but that's something for tonight.
Yeah, see, that's
Hey, we can
not.
always try that out.
Yeah.
Really? You haven't done that yet? What's wrong with youth today?
Yeah.
What is wrong with youth today? Here's a
I
beautiful white.
think the thing is that people are so politically correct that it's like we're politically correct, but we're more racist than ever, which is the contradiction, which is insane. Because, and as I was saying to Karen earlier, Facebook is really great in that you really find out who your racist friends are. It's just phenomenal. Did you have an experience of that, dealing with being married to a Muslim with anyone on Facebook?
Yes, actually. So whenever it was the Boston bombers thing happened, right? There was a lot of conversation about Muslims on Facebook. And one night, I think I had too many glasses of wine, but a friend had posted something, and I ended up getting into a full-on Facebook argument with some, people you don't know, you've never met before in your life, and it feels bizarre to argue behind a screen, doesn't it?
Yes.
And, I've had that experience, and then So that was a difficult thing. I was like, my family is Muslim, you know, you do not know what you're talking about, and just getting very upset. Then I had another experience recently, and it had to do with, you know, the rash of young black men losing their lives, and a lot of it came to head over the summer. And then there was a girl that I used to work with who had posted something which turned out to be fake, and it was from the perspective of an old black man from Texas, saying that there were, you know, there were black people and then there were ends, and then the post was riddled with the N-word. And I just commented, this is the most disgusting and vile thing I have ever seen. Like, how tasteless of you to even post this on here. And then I end up getting in a fight with this girl's mother on Facebook. So I blocked all these people because I don't have any time for that. I don't take nonsense, especially online, and especially when someone has the ability to find out who you are online, where you live, and all that stuff. I do not take chances. I am hyper paranoid and sensitive about stuff like that. So if you're trying to look where I live, you're not going to find out.
She's hyper paranoid and sensitive, but she marries the most hated people in America today. Not always a great move for the hyper paranoid to marry a Muslim guy in,
I know.
you know.
That didn't come out until.
Now, Donald Trump recently said that he's going to ban all Muslims from coming into this country. Now, as somebody of a Muslim background, how did that make you feel? That level of hatred, that he's able to do that and he's winning.
Right. That's the thing. It's like we've known people like that famous, not famous. But the problem to me was that he's bringing out that in other people. You know, like people that normally wouldn't have been so racist, now they feel, you know, we can say things like that because he said it.
Right.
That's what the scary part of it was to me.
Because to me, I mean, the whole thing with the whole Trump experience is that he's made it, it's not him that's really scary. It's the fact that millions of people are willing to allow him to run for president of the United States when he will not criticize the KKK. He wants to ban all Muslims from coming into the country. He wants to throw 11 million Mexicans out. That, by the way, is his most interesting plan, because that would require like you couldn't possibly you could potentially keep all Muslims out, right? I guess you could if you, but you can't get the Mexicans out.
The question is, how do you know the Muslims? What do you go to customs and eat piece of pork?
Right.
You
Well,
know,
didn't he say he wants to shoot Muslims with pig
That was the other
bullets?
thing. What I'm saying is, how do you know the person coming in is Muslim?
Right. Somebody
You
could
know,
lie.
just by their last name.
Right. If someone
So
also
now becomes a bigger racist.
Right.
On top of that, you know.
Yeah, it's really it's an amazing thing what's happening, I believe, with the whole Trump experience in the United States. It's truly amazing. So now moving on. Do you have any? Oh, I did want to ask you one more thing because I didn't finish up with the real estate. When you start selling real estate, doesn't it take a really long time to start making money?
Yes, it does.
Because they're always trying to get people into that, telling you that there's really big money to be made, but it
You gotta
takes-
work your butt off to make any money, and I've been doing this since October, and I still haven't made my first transaction. So if you wanna buy or sell a house, please call me.
So October, like that's 6 months, and you haven't been able to make one sale.
No, I've got some things cooking, you know, I'm making, you know, connections. It's all about getting out and networking and working what they call your sphere of influence. And then doing cold calls, knocking on doors, marketing. You have to put a lot of money into your own personal marketing too. And then when you join a franchise, you have to pay fees for that sort of thing as well.
Now, how much will you make approximately on, if you make an average sale? Is it like a year's pay on an average sale, or?
No, there's a split that you have to give back to your sponsor, franchise, and then, you know, the longer you've been doing it, the better your split is. So right now my split's not great because I just started, but in terms of making money, I haven't seen a dime yet, so ask me next year at this time and I'll tell you.
So now that basically she's living off of you, was this like an idea that you had that some white girl was gonna live off of you for the rest of your life trying to sell real estate? Was that some fantasy that you had growing up? Or did you think that since you're a musician, your woman would be paying for your?
hard to say, because as a musician I was doing okay, but then I wasn't doing okay. Growing up, I was going to be an engineer. You know, and that's what my family wanted, that's what I wanted, but then I played guitar, and that changed everything. And at that point, I didn't really care about money. I was living at home till I was 30, and just making
You
music.
lived at home
so-
till you were 30.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
You
really.
were fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Well, he's here, so let's welcome our artistic director of race mixing with the black and the Jew. He's a legendary jazz drummer. Please welcome the great Joe Keys. Joe.
Well, you can't be a real jazz musician, man, if you're home till you're 30, man. That shit,
When did you leave home?
2.
You were 2 years old.
2
You hit
years
the road at 2.
2, man.
That must have been very challenging.
Yeah,
Were you
yeah.
still in diapers
Right,
or
yeah, I never wore a diaper.
Never
man.
wore a
Always wore man pants.
man panties?
Yeah.
Okay. So Joe, what do you have for us today? What are we doing?
Well, you know, before I go on, I just want to say a little something about this race mixing. As a musician, particularly black men, and in Europe, white women love us, man.
Yeah, you always did very well.
Yeah,
Jazz,
yeah.
black jazz musicians
Always
do
did well.
Japan
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Europe.
We've always been a threat to white men. Now, brown men, I don't know,
Yes.
but white men are threatened by us, man.
Yes.
You know, I had Karen.
You did have
Oh,
Karen.
I dated her.
Did you meet her on Match.com
Yeah,
or was
yeah.
it on
Met her on Soul Train.
Soul Train?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But what we're gonna do is called Voice of the People.
Voice of the people.
Because in New York City, even though it's changing, the people that really count, we need to know what they're talking about. And see, this whole Donald Trump shit got me scared, and I'll tell you why. Hitler started out like that, man.
That's correct.
You know, these people start out with a philosophy that sounds extreme, but we love celebrities, and we thinking, oh, it's just Donald Trump. But Hitler started out like that. It took him about 3 years to get everybody to buy into his philosophy.
Well, Hitler said the same. The thing with Trump is that Trump is telling people what he's going to do, and many people say he doesn't really mean it.
He
and
means
that's what
it.
Hitler did too.
Yeah.
Hitler wrote a whole book, and
Yeah.
people say he didn't mean it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you gotta, when people tell you that they're going to do stuff,
They don't do it.
You should definitely
Yeah,
believe it.
yeah,
You should definitely believe
yeah.
it. Now, I know that you spent time as a jazz musician in hotel rooms. Have you ever worked with any Pakistani musicians, any Indian musicians?
Yeah, first of all, what I like about their music is the chord changes. It's different than American music. And I think as a musician, you want to learn all different kinds of music, man. It opens your perspective. And the thing about Pakistani musicians, they have the same code that all men have.
What's that?
When you go in a hotel room, you take your dick out.
Even Pakistani musicians.
It don't matter,
What
man.
matter if you take it?
Yeah, you just take, and we're not gay.
You're not gay. They just,
No.
That's just what musicians
That's
do.
what people don't understand. We're in the room, we're living there, right? You take your dick out, and that's it, man.
You just take your dick
You
out.
don't
Is this
touch
true?
another motherfucker.
Is this true with heavy metal musicians? Do you guys just whip your dicks out when you get in a hotel room?
He's thinking about
No,
it, so
we're
what
just-
does that tell you, man?
We're just too psychotic to do that.
You're too
Yeah.
psychotic.
We're just
Yeah,
too
yeah,
busy still doing this.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, you're
yeah.
still doing that.
Yeah, even hotel.
Who's like the big? Is there like a big act in heavy metal now? Like Metallica? I'm old.
Well, there's nothing new.
There's nothing new.
That's big.
Okay.
That's all gone.
I actually did a Metallica set one day, man.
You did?
Yeah, I like those boys. They're good.
Yeah.
I didn't like that whole, in the 80s when you had the pretty boys with the hair.
No.
What do you call them? White Snake, all those motherfuckers. I didn't like them, man. I like that shit.
Would you consider a band like the Blue Oyster Cult heavy metal? Is that a heavy metal band?
Well, they were around before the term heavy metal was.
What about Zombie?
Why zombie?
Yeah,
Yeah, to a
Yeah.
degree. We won't call industrial, but
yeah.
I had sex with a song one night with the heavy metal playing in the back, and it was really weird. It's like so angry. I'm like so agitated. So what do you have to read, Karen? Do you have something to read for us from
I
Voices
do.
of the People? Because you are now a real estate.
I thought I was doing this, man. Shut the hell up.
Well, I'm trying to speed it up
Yeah,
because your
yeah.
age sometimes the show moves a
Yeah,
little
I
slow.
think you're the one that's old, man. So Karen gonna read a voice, and this is a New York City voice. So let's see what you got, Southern Belle.
So Vance won't give jail time for those caught urinating in the street. Would he like it if those recalcitrant people were caught urinating in front of his home? Our city and nation continue to go south due to these liberal politicians. Then we have candidates like Bernie Sanders, who is upset too many prisons are being built. Well, this wouldn't be the case if people behaved themselves and followed societal rules.
Well, that's very well read, and I felt that. Now, do you agree with this? Is America becoming too weak?
There's no bathrooms, man. There's not a place you can go out in the street, man.
Really?
If you out, man, not only that, there's no bathrooms. I was doing a gig, right? And I left the gig and I had to go to the bathroom, man. Not only that, crossing the goddamn street, the crossing light, man. That shit changed so fast, I was midway and it was already on 1.
Oh, the new numbers?
The new numbers, man, that shit threw me
I have a
off.
problem with that. I never know whether to go or not. They'll say like 12.
Yeah, but there ain't no
11,
bathrooms to
time.
use, man, and there's homeless people, so what are we supposed to do, man?
This is what happened. Like under Giuliani and Bloomberg, they had the quality of life initiatives where they would bust people for minor offenses, smoking weed, peeing in the street, beer. Now, de Blasio, by the way, married to a black woman, Bill de Blasio, and by the way, that couple has, they've been a little disappointing. I was hoping that de Blasio would come
Y'all
in.
bought that big afro shit
Now,
from
people
that son.
voted him because his son had a big afro. Not always a great reason to vote for
No.
someone. You know, there should be something deeper. Because he was not. I thought he was going to be a friend of poor people and a progressive
No,
guy. And
he's backing Hillary, man.
he backed Hillary against Bernie Sanders. Now, how can a progressive back Hillary against Bernie
But she
Sanders?
made a promise to him, that's why.
But how do you think? Do you think people peeing in the street now and not getting arrested is a bad thing?
So I do have very strong feelings about this.
That's
I
why
think
I
that
found
if it was a celebrity who stumbled out of a nightclub and he pulled his pants down and peed in the street, we would be watching it on TMZ and laughing about it, and they would probably get higher ratings for their show. But if you're talking about a homeless person doing that, then, you know, it's disgusting and they're a terrible person. The same thing with, smoking weed. These young black men who are walking down the street smoking weed and the police arrest them. Well, you have Bill Maher lighting up a joint on his show, or other celebrities talking about smoking weed, but we're not doing anything about that. Like, I think that weed should be completely legalized, for recreational and medicinal.
It's a joke that
So,
it's not
yeah,
legal.
it's a complete joke, and it has been, a horrible thing for that community. So that's the way I feel about
agree
it.
with her.
You have celebrities like Rihanna and all these people.
Yeah, take pictures of them all the time.
Yeah, and not
Why
only
why don't
that,
they get arrested?
Right.
they talk about the homeless people in the street, right? Look at all the hospitals that they're closing. There are no facilities for these people. So you have a lot of people that don't have medical care. They're out there in the street. And the thing is, the very rich don't want to see them. They don't want to see these people.
I mean, nobody wants you to pee in front of their house. I've come home and people were peeing in the hallway where I live. It's pretty gross. But at the same time, I think that the Quality of Life initiative is an excuse to harass black people, because it gives the police kind of freedom to act like, because anything can be sort of quality of life. Now they can claim, like, if you ride your bicycle on the
You
sidewalk.
can't fall asleep on the
You can't fall
subway.
asleep on the train, which is,
Yeah.
it's actually not a bad idea. I personally don't fall asleep on a train, because I'm a native New Yorker. I am not buying into that New York is so much safer. I think it's really not. I don't buy into it. So I try not to fall asleep on the train, but I also think that, if you do fall asleep on the train, I don't think you should be arrested for that. I don't think you should be arrested for peeing outside,
Now, I think you should be arrested, though, if you're, like, jerking on the train.
Jerking on the train.
You should do that in a hotel room.
In a hotel room. So, what do you have for us to read today? Let me guess. Is this going to be something about Donald Trump or anything?
It is.
Yeah, it is. All right.
Donald Trump may be obnoxious, but he's giving what everyone is thinking and talking about among friends and family. It's about time we come together as a nation and let the so-called representatives of the country know that we have had enough of immigration, political correctness, racial tension, economic problems, young men and women serving our country and losing their lives, cops disrespected, criminals being coddled, schools that are failing the English language, replaced by 1,000 other tongues, and mistakes created by selfish, greedy leaders. Enough is enough.
Joe, you have any comments on that?
His voice put me to sleep, man. I was nodding out, man. I was like, how this mother...
You don't have a lot
Yeah.
That's what I'm noticing about you. You're not angry. Heavy metal guys have to be smashing their guitars and stuff.
Yeah, just keep it on the inside.
Has Karen taken all the anger out of you with that white love?
The white woman just took all that shit out of him, man.
Because you don't seem angry. You're not. Do you consider yourself angry?
Lot from, yeah.
You are angry.
More on the inside though, it doesn't come out
That's
so
the
much.
worst place for your
when
anger.
it does.
That's the
Get that
worst
shit
place.
out.
He's got a lot of
man.
back pain.
Yeah, that's the worst place. Because Karen is a Buddhist, so she can tell you that anger is a very.
Not only that, you're brown, man, close to black. You can be angry.
Joe, you got to teach him how to be more angry.
I'm fucking angry all the time, man. Shit.
So let's hear it for our artistic director. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Big Al is here. Big Al, how have you're the host of the legendary show many years on cable television, Spick and Spanish.
Yes.
Now, you are Puerto Rican.
Yes.
How are you feeling about the state of things with Trump saying all the Mexicans? I'm not saying that a Puerto Rican is a Mexican, but did you take that personally as well when he said that all the Mexicans should leave the country and that kind of stuff? How did you feel as a Puerto Rican?
No, I did not take it personal.
Would you like all the Ecuadorians to leave the country? Would that be, is there anyone you want to leave the country out?
Yeah, but they're Americans, so I guess we can't get rid of them.
Americans to leave the country.
There are plenty of Americans that I would love to see, expelled.
Now, are you a heavy metal fan?
There's some songs from the 80s I like,
From
sure.
the 80s?
Yeah.
Like what? What was something you liked in the 80s?
Guns N' Roses?
Would that be considered heavy metal? Guns N' Roses?
It's more rock than like
Yeah, it's Puerto Rican
Depends
heavy.
who you ask.
Yeah, no, it's not heavy metal. That's like only
No?
Puerto Ricans would rate that as heavy metal.
Okay.
You know?
Then hard rock then? Yeah, I guess if it's gonna be that kind of music, it leans more towards hard rock then, as opposed to like real heavy metal.
Yeah.
What would be an example of 80s heavy metal?
80s heavy metal, like Iron Maiden was a power metal band.
What about Judas
Metallica.
Priest?
They were like before. They're to me like them and Black Sabbath were the godfathers of metal.
They are the godfathers of metal,
Yeah.
yes.
They
Are a
laid
lot
the
of
roots
Puerto
down.
Ricans into heavy metal?
Not really.
Those women that used to work with you, though, she's a big heavy metal fan, right? Damaris, I think her name is. Isn't she like?
Damaris?
Yes.
Yes.
She's like a big heavy
But
metal.
she's also half Mexican.
Oh, that's
And there are a lot of Mexicans are into that kind of music.
really?
Yes, a lot of Mexicans, not so much Puerto Ricans.
I didn't know that. Is
Yes.
That why how come Mexican wrestlers always wear masks? Is there a reason for that?
I don't
Those
know.
are the things that fascinate
Yeah,
me. Like,
it,
why are
it is a
Mexicans-
good question.
Have you noticed that?
Yes,
They always wear
I don't,
masks.
it's a tradition of theirs and I don't know why.
Let me play this past you guys, because Al, you're a former big wrestling fan.
Yes.
You don't like it anymore.
I hate it now.
I believe, and check out this, one of my theories, this is the theory that I've developed. I believe part of the reason that Donald Trump is so successful comes from wrestling. He
Okay.
actually is behaving like a wrestling manager.
Yes.
The way he talks, his braggadocious, how
Yes.
just he's so great. Isn't that very similar to the way wrestling managers would behave?
That's what they call cutting a promo.
Right.
He's constantly cutting promos on the country.
Now, you know that Muhammad Ali has admitted many times that he developed that I'm so pretty and I'm so based on a wrestler
Yes.
named Gorgeous George.
Yes.
He took that whole wrestling shtick. And I believe that wrestling has had a huge impact on American thought. I'm not kidding. I think that wrestling is actually what's responsible for Donald Trump. It's a nation of morons, like people who could literally believe that wrestling was real and get into it and get into the and it's always black, white. It's always very much about like very simplistic. That's Donald Trump. I think he's basically like decided and. Because wrestling, Vince McMahon made like $1 trillion off of that crap, right?
And Donald Trump may be a wrestling fan because a couple of WrestleManias were held at Trump Plaza.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trump is doing, I believe that in his mind, he's doing a wrestling manager. Now, he's not going to say that to the world,
That influence.
but it has taught, because he acts like we're the greatest.
I know.
You know, he doesn't
It's
say
great.
anything at
It's
all.
very entertaining.
He's very entertaining.
He's-
Do you find him entertaining as a Muslim, a former Muslim? Do you find Trump entertaining?
To a degree.
He isn't. How
Yeah.
about you, Karen?
I thought it was hilarious and very entertaining at the very beginning, and now I'm terrified.
Well,
right
yeah,
now.
well, he's
Terrified.
taking us to terror.
But going back to the wrestling thing, if you remember, like back in the day, they had characters from different countries. I mean, who's the
Right, the Iron Sheik.
Iron Sheik? Who's the guy from Russia?
Nikolai Volkov.
Yeah, they had a few.
Professor Tanaka from Japan. Remember,
Right,
because
right.
he was like he would do like throw salt in your eyes and do karate.
Right.
Bulldog Brower. It was always American kind. Wasn't he like Sergeant? Wasn't there a Sergeant?
Sergeant Slaughter.
Sergeant
And there was
Slaughter.
the Guido guy too. I forgot his name.
Well, there's Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair. I watched wrestling when I was growing up.
But wrestling has impacted us. I'm not.
Yeah.
I really have to develop this because when I look at Trump, I'm like, this guy reminds me like he would be a great wrestling manager. And Americans love wrestling. We love rock and roll, and we love reality TV. Because to me, Donald Trump is the world's greatest performance artist. He's doing some shtick. It's insane shtick, and who knows what he's going to do with it? Is he going to turn into Hitler, or is at the end? Wouldn't it be kind of funny though? If he becomes president and he goes, more on Republicans, this was all a gag. I'm going to be the most radically liberal, health care for everyone, free. Bernie Sanders is a racist fascist compared to me. I, Trump, tricked you morons. I tricked you. Please welcome our entertainment reporter, angry black woman, Tanika X. Jones.
First of all, I want you to stop saying I'm angry. I find that people do this a lot when you're a dark complexion. When you light, right, that news reporter that got the list, like they're not saying she angry, they're saying that, you know, she intelligent. So I want you to stop that bullshit. Well, I will kick your ass, okay? Now, hi everybody, I got a lot to say, all right? I'm gonna talk about Nina Simone, all right? They got this woman, now you know I am all about my peeps. I love Puerto Rican, all right? I had me some, but they got this woman, what her name, Zoe, I can't even say her last name. She playing Nina Simone. Now what they had to do was they had to darken her skin, right? Give her a fake nose, right? They couldn't find no black actress that could play Nina Simone, all right? Because once again, America cannot let us take it. Now, I'm going to give you a few names of people you didn't even know the movie was supposed to be about black people, but it's a white one. Now, this one they got playing Michael Jackson, right? Listen to what this motherfucker say. He goes, you know, I went to acting school, and we taught that you should go in and be a character, right? It's important because actors bring something fresh and new. You know what? You stupid, all right? You should know that you should not be playing Michael Jackson, that he had a skin goddamn disease, all right? But you so stupid you want the role, you should not be playing a black man. Angelina Jolie, she played a character called Marianne Pearl in a Mighty Heart. That was a woman who was of Afro-Chinese Cuban descent. Angelina Jolie, I know you like getting all your little kids from around the world. You should not have played that role, okay? Jennifer Lawrence, she was in The Hunger Game. Now, the character was described as having dark skin, but Jennifer Lawrence played it. But they got all mad when they were casting a black woman to play Rue. But why is it all right for Jennifer Lawrence to play a character who was written as having dark skin? Don't you motherfuckers know what dark skin look like? Me, all right? But, you know, I'm still going on. Next, Anthony Hopkins, he played in a movie called Pass for White, The Human State. It was about a black man. And last but not least, Jesus. All right? Jesus was Jewish. Jesus had hair like me. But you got people like the Allman Brothers up there playing it. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm saying this right now. No black person should go see that Nina Simone fucking movie. Black folks, if you want to be powerful, you stop with the money. Stop spending your money in places where you are not accepted. Do not fucking support the Nina Simone movie, all right? If you want to see somebody play Nina Simone, I'll play Nina Simone. I am one angry motherfucker, all right? That's the entertainment for today.
Now, by the way, the people who are producing that Nina Simone film, if you want to advertise on race mixing with the black and the Jew, we will be happy to promote your movie, despite what Tanika said. That's her opinion. That is not the editorial opinion of race mixing.
You asked me a question earlier. What was the last state that gave up interracial marriage being illegal? It was Alabama. And I'm gonna read you something that a lot of y'all don't even know. They took a poll in Mississippi in 2011, and it says that they asked voters, do you think interracial marriage should be legal or illegal? The response was 40% said legal, illegal 46%, and there's 14 not sure. So even today, people don't want what Epstein and Hassan got, and they don't want what these people have. But you know what? To all of y'all.
Well, that was on that very loving note, we'll say our goodbyes. But that's very interesting that so many people still hate interracial marriage in America. It's a really amazing thing if you think about it. In 2016, I think you two guys are very brave. Now, you have 2 children.
Yes.
Are your children being raised Islamic or Christian or Jewish or nothing?
Catholic.
They're Catholic.
Yeah.
Are you happy about that?
It doesn't bother me because their mom is Catholic, and it's more that the grandmother's Catholic. They want,
It's always the grandmothers
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
grandfathers.
Their
you
mother
know.
couldn't really care.
Yeah, they
care
really,
less, yeah.
they always have to put their weight in there, you know. My parents were very unhappy when we decided that we were gonna get married. They didn't believe in race mixing, but they had to say over the years that they changed their ways because they saw that our marriage continued to get stronger and stronger, and ultimately marriage is about love, and the whole concept of race mixing, if we don't start forgiving each other, even some country like Pakistan and India, if these are basically brothers who are gonna both have nuclear weapons facing each other.
Right.
We have to stop this. The world is going to end unless race mixing comes about. That is the mission of race mixing with the black and the Jew. How about a big round of applause for our cameraman, our old friend, Big Al from Speaking Spanish. Big Al. Somebody please purchase one of Karen's helmets. She's out
Yes,
there
yes,
selling
please,
her.
purchase her home.
She's on her knees begging
Yes,
people,
yes,
please
yes.
purchase her home.
And she will not rip you off. She has unbelievable integrity.
Even though she's a white person from
Yeah,
down south,
yeah.
forgive her and
That's
forgive
right.
her family's
Yes,
past.
yes.
Karen. And our heavy metal musician, our heavy metal Muslim.
Yes, from
Please welcome
Pakistan.
Jeff.
Yes.
Our debut performance of race mixing with the black and the Jew. How do you feel, Hassan? Did you
I feel wonderful. I feel great.
Did you guys have a good time?
It was awesome.
Do you have any
guys-
gigs coming up?
I'm trying to plan a gig with my son,
Ooh, that's
who just is
awesome.
9. Got him a flying V guitar, got him into metal.
I
and
love
we're
it.
trying to put it together. We have
I
3
love
songs
it.
written.
I
Wow,
love
that would
it.
be
Yeah.
interesting. Like you
Yeah.
guys like could be like I'm really aging myself.
I
Remember
know.
the Carter family? It was like you remember that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But that's big in country music, like dad and the children and maybe some sex after the show with the kids, the whole cousins.
No, see, you had to go there.
I had to go there.
Yeah,
I had
you
to go there. I
Oh,
had to. I'm
man.
sorry. I'm
Yeah,
really
yeah,
sorry.
Peter Griffin, thank
He's the
you.
next Joe Jackson.
And now, calling in with a review of today's show, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Jackies.
Well, I think they make a pretty good couple.
What's a Muslim, Jackie? I want to know. Everybody hates them. Why don't I?
I don't understand it because they seem like every other human to me. In fact, how could you hate somebody that pray like all the
They
time?
pray. I saw that. They pray
All
like
the
18 times a
time.
day.
Who prays that much?
And the cab drivers in the
They
middle of the
pray. They'll pull over
They
the
pull
side of
over,
the
start
road
praying in the middle
and
of
just
the
start
thing.
praying.
And they're always praying. They have to face a certain way.
Yes, yes.
But they pray and they
Yes,
pray
they
and they
pray and they pray and they pray.
And everybody hates them.
Yes,
We don't know
I
why,
understand
Jackie.
that.
I have nothing against them.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
who I don't like, Jackie?
Who?
I don't like humans.
Yeah,
In
they
general,
stink.
They
Yeah,
smell,
yeah,
they have
yeah,
bodies,
yeah.
they're disgusting.
We gotta tell Karen though, she gotta like make sure when she's selling a house and she's a Muslim,
Yes.
that they know that she's a nice Muslim, because
No.
people are scared.
I think Karen needs to show some breasts.
Yeah, she
when
needs to
she's
show
selling.
that she's a loose
loose
Muslim.
kind of salesperson.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that'll help her sales.
Yeah, sell
And
it.
he won't mind because
No.
when the cash starts flowing in,
Oh, he'll love it.
Muslims, Jews, Chinese,
They
they're
love
all the
it.
same.
I mean,
We
look at this
all
Muslim.
agree.
He's a musician.